Welcome to this BVTV Silverpreneurs SpotCast, coming to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. Now, this is episode 2 in a trilogy revolving around Jill McAbe's It's Go Time concept. We're still in Canada, so let's say hello again to Jill. Hello, Jill.
Hi, from Vancouver Island in Canada.
Yes, and I just love the fact that you've moved from, Toronto was my favorite city. I loved it, but you're now in a British area. I quite like that, so British, in Vancouver Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm mid-island, which is just, we have an embarrassment of waterfalls and beaches and forests to walk in. It's magical.
Yeah, lovely. Jill, let's get started on episode 2 of your BVTV SpotCast trilogy. Silverpreneurs are prone to panic at having to change, often feeling they haven't got the ability, the expertise, or they're worried in particular about ageism. I encourage them to ignore that and realize that it's their gravitas that counts, not their age. It's their gravitas. What's your thoughts and suggestions for those perhaps struggling to get going?
If you want to get going, you know enough. One thing I have seen for sure is you won't have the urge to do it if you can't do it. So I completely agree with you, Malcolm, that just have the gravitas. Here's what I see. I talked about this a little bit in the other one, but one of the things that holds a lot of people back is a concern that will this be a marketable idea? Right? Will this work? I am too old to risk my retirement or risk my, reputation, or I don't want to work 1 million hours or all of that. You know what? Not all businesses have to be built into, you can, but not all businesses need to be built into multi-million a year. Over $1 million a year is a lot of work. But you can build a nice little augment your life business between 250 and 500,000 and have a very nice life at the same time if you follow a methodical process. So I'd say if you have the urge, trust that and start looking at what are those possible ideas.
I did a lot of work in London about helping people get started in business. And there was some work done by London Metropolitan University that showed that the thing that was holding so many 50 plus people back was lack of support by the spouse, particularly for women entrepreneurs, 50 plus there. Well, what do you want to do that for? At your age, what a load of think of a word. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. So I work with that age group, and what I find is that it is essential to find a new group that supports you. So this is really hard to do alone. One of the best things that you can do is actually join a group. I like small group coaching programs so that you're not like 1 in 1 million. That's the difference that I have with working with people. But you want that network of people because you become your network. You probably already know that. And you just gotta maybe not make them your business partner. And that's what I find. People come into the group and they build a new group of friends. And sometimes those friendships are some of the deepest friendships I've ever seen. They're blown away. They never thought at that age they could create new communities, new friends that were so aligned. And so that's what I'm going to say to those people. Maybe don't rely on your spouse for that part of your life and feeding your soul.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, and absolutely totally with you on that. Now, are you finding, and this is an exciting thing, that women entrepreneurs on the 50 plus are really starting to forge through? We've still got a problem in the UK, by the way, that only 5% are women entrepreneurs. Only 5% get funding. 95% goes to the male. I believe it's changing. And I was in Los Angeles the other day, and it's up to 15% there, but it's still a struggle. What's it like in Canada supporting women entrepreneurs?
Okay. I work with expert entrepreneurs, and I have a methodology of building business that almost everybody who's had a professional career can afford without funding. So you can really, but I do think that so that I can't answer that specific question. I think the way you're thinking, because I'm not looking at, I don't help. I used to, but right now I just focus on experts who are either creating a solution for someone based on, their lifetime of knowledge, maybe a consulting solution or a coaching solution or teaching or community or retreats. And those are typically ones that can be self-funded very effectively.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's great. I've plugged in a lot to BDC, the Canadian support council over there. And, they're really trying hard. But when it gets down to it, I love the concept you're talking about, the small cohort, and that really is where you can exchange, honestly, you can exchange all those private problems that you've got, can't you? Whereas you wouldn't do so with your bank manager or any sort of structured business, would you?
No. And the other thing is people are sharing ideas. I mean, I have 20 something years experience growing businesses from a leadership position. I have a master's in leadership. And I will say, one of the things that makes me good at what I do is, having worked in over 30 industries, we can cross-pollinate ideas to come up with very creative things. Yeah. So you really don't want to be on your own. You really want to be, because other people ask questions that you wouldn't think to ask, that you didn't know to ask. And that's where the magic happens. I think that it's, for women, I've seen actually a lot of success. So I was a little bit even surprised when you said that about, women not getting funding, but that isn't my world anymore. And they should get funding, because I have seen them make fantastic business leaders.
Yeah. And I think it's the wonderful thing about this altered world, and the pandemic has been awful, hasn't it? And it continues to be awful. It's happened, though, that the world has altered, and we're much more conscious, compassionate, caring, which is really important. Thanks, Jill. Now, let me remind our audience, your audience and my audience, of your website URL, which is, and obviously, viewers, you can see it on the screen behind me, as you can see a copy of the front copy of Jill's book. But for listeners, here we go. All the W's, listeners, all the W's, Jill, which is a J, JILLMCABE.com, JillMcAbe.com. Now, Jill's book is called It's Go Time. It's Go Time, and was published just 2 days ago by Morgan James Publishing. Oh, by the way, by the time this goes out, it'll be more than 2 days, but it's still fresh. I do like to bring people the news early, Jill.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm very glad to be here. Thank you so much, Malcolm.
Right. But let me just finish and say to everybody, I trust that Jill has given you the inspiration and motivation to get going. I'm not suggesting that you jump into business too early. Do the correct planning that Jill's been talking about. But I'm also suggesting don't leave it too long, as doubt has a habit of festering. Thanks, Jill, for its great go time advice. I love that.
Thank you, Malcolm. Great to be here.